What's happening, everybody? Welcome back. This is Forgo, and the patch notes have arrived for Carnage and some updates regarding Gorr as well, which is actually really exciting, even though I haven't talked about Gorr at all on my channel because I was actually just trying to get enough books to level him up, which I just recently did. But now it looks like they're actually going to be buffing up that character, which from what I've seen so far from other YouTube videos, he sorely needs. But before we get into the update that we're actually going to be getting, I do want to talk about a couple little things that are happening. So Apple is going to be charging more for purchases in Marvel Future Fight. And I mean, guys, it is what it is, right? I mean, this isn't a Netmarble thing. This is an Apple thing. And because they're going to be raising their rates, Marvel Future Fight or Netmarble is going to be raising their rates for packs in the game, which is pretty unfortunate. That is very unfortunate for these players that are in, Chile, Egypt, Japan, Malaysia, Pakistan, Poland, South Korea, Sweden, and all the territories that use Euro currency. That's a real shame. That's a real bummer, but we can't really blame Netmarble for that. That is definitely Apple. I mean, they've always been a pretty greedy company, at least in my opinion. But I mean, I just wanted to let you guys know about that. And then we have the Hero Growth Mission, which is pretty cool, right? We're going to be able to get a few goodies, and we're going to have these little events where we're going to be able to acquire these tokens and pick up premium common card, which is definitely a bonus. That's definitely what I'm going to be looking for, or a CTP, which is nice. The advancement ticket, and so on and so on and so on. These are really amazing events. You got the special icon here, which is also awesome for Venom. You have the gold special store open, which is also really good. I always like these things, man, especially when you have an excess of gold. I know not everybody does have an excess of gold, but I'm definitely one of those players that does have quite a bit, and it's just nice to see this kind of things. You just never know. You might get lucky and get some good things out of here, but I am happy to see it. I mean, you never know. You might get a mega rank up ticket. That'd be pretty cool, right? Out of here, you're going to be able to acquire some BAM, some Norn stones. Whenever you spend a certain amount of energy, you're going to be able to get some of these things here, which is nice, right? That's all good, right? There's an unequipping sale for artifacts. Honestly, I don't know why you'd ever unequip an artifact, but I mean, okay. And then you have an October special 7-day check-in. It's fine, get some boost points, get some BAM. I mean, it's all good, right? It's all good. But let's get to the good stuff. Let's get to the good stuff. So Carnage is getting a tier 4, which is awesome. I know he's another combat, and we are combat heavy when it regards tier 4s. We just got a combat villain and Hawk. And I said in a previous video, even if Carnage replaces Hawk, I would be okay with it. I wouldn't have a problem with it all, because I really would like to see Carnage get some shine. And from the looks of his uniform, it looks like they did. There's also going to be a 40% discount on all uniforms, so that's actually pretty cool. But just remember, guys, whenever Black Friday comes around, there's going to be a 50% discount on all uniforms. So you really be better off just waiting until Black Friday before you start, splurging and buying a bunch of uniforms. But we get into Carnage here, guys. So his uniform effect gives him a 30% increase of HP, 30% chance to increase critical damage by 100% on critical attacks. That's actually really good. I don't know. I'm trying to... let me look here. I think as far as his uniform effect, if we look at old Carnage here, his uniform effect does give him a 30% chance to increase critical damage by 100% on a critical attack, right? So, I mean, that is there, right? And as far as, the rest of his kit, so that isn't really a change. They did add the HP, which is nice. And then you get into his ultimate skill. This is a huge change. So they gave him the 100% increase of charge rate of accumulated true damage. This is the Sharag Doom effect. This is OP damage, my friends. OP. This is insanely good. When I saw this, I was like, oh my God, Carnage might actually be freaking nuts. I mean, guys, these all the characters that have this, for the most part, I would say, well, except for maybe Crescent, are extremely powerful. Like, they're very strong, right? Recently, we just got Titania and Juggernaut that actually got this in their Awakened skills. They changed his leadership. From a PvE perspective, it's not really... I mean, it's okay, but you're going to use the attack leaderships. But maybe for PvP, it's going to be really good. Definitely for AC, this is an insane leadership for your symbiote allies. I mean, this is awesome for AC. We'll see how good it's going to be in timeline, but I think it's really going to be probably more AC oriented. But if Carnage is actually really good in timeline, then this will be an insane leadership, especially for him. He gets a critical damage increase by 35%, guaranteed critical rate. This is also great, especially for Rage. He's immune to bleed, which doesn't really matter. He's got immune to guard break, which is awesome. They increased the skill damage, and the decreased base damage received by 40% is insane. I believe it's 15% before, so they jumped this up to 25% more. This is awesome. This is exactly what we want to see for this character. Is one, no big deal. Two, big deal. No big deal. The third skill, big deal. Big deal. So the third skill, they actually gave him Ignore Iframe on an 8-second cooldown, and a particle of biometrics will fall off. Touching it will result in some health recovery. So he's going to drop some of those little blobs of the symbiote, and he's going to be able to pick them up and actually get a recovery. And it also has a 10% recovery of max HP. So I'm hoping that whenever you hit the skill, you get the 10% recovery of heal, and then you can just pick up the blobs on top of that. That would be pretty sick. But they changed his accumulation from accumulation based on how much damage you deal to based on how much damage you take. Now, this can be very, very OP if whenever you're using your skills, you're not in an iframe. However, in ABL, you actually want to be in iframes whenever you're attacking Surtur. You'll actually do more damage because if Surtur's attacking you, you'll lose points. So this is kind of like a damned if you do, damned if you don't kind of thing in a way, or at least regarding, certain things. But in World Boss, I mean, you really need to be out in the open so that way you can take damage. So we'll see how they change his skills. But if he's able to take damage and take damage easily, if there's like a delayed timer, kind of like Sharag, where you can hit the skill and wait a little bit, take a little damage, that's going to be OP. If it's one of them deals where you got to cancel immediately, well, we'll see how that plays out. And then we get into the fourth skill, which, I mean, they give him a huge 90% chance to penetrate. Is insane. That's nutty, right? He has immunity for 5 seconds. He's got paralysis. This is pretty sweet. And then his fifth skill has another heal. So it's really good to see that we got heals on 2 separate skills. It's much better than that 10% alone that he had before. He's got the 5 seconds invincibility. He's also got a damage proc on the first skill. But I mean, really, guys, like the kid looks pretty good. It looks like they did a pretty good job on him. The tier 3, I mean, I can't wait. And then his tier 4 skill applies self-recovers HP equal to 10% of damage dealt and up to 10% of max HP at once. So he's going to be dropping a bunch of little blobs probably whenever you do your tier 4, so you can pick them up, similar to Venom, and then can be activated again after 0.3 seconds. Yeah, increase basic damage by 25%. This stacks up to 75%. That's a pretty big bump, honestly, guys, and think about that. This, with the extra stat bumps, with that tier 3 that he has now, I mean, and then we get into some insanity with his artifact. So Nat Marble made a really wild artifact for this guy, and this is a big reason, like, I think, like, with this artifact, because they gave him the undead passive, which is surprising as hell, but they did, right? So when his ASP is below 5%, he's going to get Guard Immunity, which is kind of silly because he already has it in his kit now, but his HP does not drop to 1 or below. He recovers 50% of his health, and then he recovers additional HP equal to 0.5% of total instinct. So, I mean, yeah, he's not going to die for that period of time, and since he has Ignore Iframe in his kit, he might actually be really good in PvP. Like, if you had this thing, it might actually be really insane. I mean, I don't know. And then we get into a big surprise where they buffed up Gorr. Now, I got to say, guys, at first glance, I'm not all that impressed with these buffs. And, from what I tested him, he seemed pretty weak. Gorr seemed pretty weak. And these buffs look pretty good, but you just never know just by text. You never know how strong characters can be. So I'm going to be a little reserved on my judgment. But they did buff his 25% attack to 40% on his tier 3. That is nice. That is nice. That's a nice little buff there. That's pretty cool. And they also removed his penetration, put it on the second skill, right? And they gave him Ignore Iframe on his second skill. This is another thing that really would make him a little bit more valuable. I mean, this is on a 4-second cooldown. If he can survive, if he can actually last and get hit, I mean, it's really surprising that they didn't give this guy an artifact with the undead passive. I mean, honestly, that would have made a lot more sense than Carnage, but okay. But yeah, and then we get into, some increases, 70% physical attack to 80%. We'll see how that plays out. I do like that they added 2 seconds on his accumulation. So you got 2 more seconds of having your accumulation up to allow to do more damage. That is actually really, really good. That's nice. 2 seconds does make a bit of a difference when it comes to doing that extra damage. And then another little, damage bump from 95% to 98%. So again, we'll see how it plays out, guys. I want to be reserved. And then we got some, changes here. And that's pretty much about it. So I got to tell you guys, like, I'm pretty happy with what I've seen for Carnage. Like, he looks like he might be pretty OP. I mean, I don't know. Like, with that leadership, with the fact that he's going to have Ignore Iframe, with the extra decreased damage received, the extra heals, he might be pretty damn good in PvP. He might be really good. And even he might even be a good combination character where you can actually use him of your choice, whether you want to go in PvE or PvP, which is really what I'm hoping for the character, because really Carnage is a very beloved villain, and it would be awesome if he was similar to Hulk, where you could build him to where, although I think it's not going to be the same as Hulk, I think with Carnage you're going to have to either have a PvP obelisk or a PvE setup really to optimize them for the most part. But I think I'm hoping that you could build him either way, build him for PvP or build him for PvE, and he's going to perform really, really amazingly in both game modes. That's kind of what I'm hoping for the character. And as far as Gorr, we'll see, guys. I mean, I'm excited that they buffed him. I'm really happy that they did that, but it doesn't look like a substantial buff as like, say, what they did for Thena, but it might be enough. It might be a really big bump, and we just don't know it until we play with them. So guys, let me know what you think about the patch notes, and I do stream on Twitch at 9 p.m. GG+7 time. The link is in the description below, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. Y'all take care and have a good one. See you, everybody.